And I'm really excited because we have three businesses that are owned by Black women here in the district that are doing the work and serving our community, but have also been experiencing sort of the suffering that all of our small businesses have been going through. And so with us tonight, we have Laci Chisholm, who owns Fit for Dance, a studio offering dance and fitness classes for adults, families, and children in Crown Heights. We have Jolene Duke, who owns Jolie Studio, an intimate event space for weddings, parties, and other private events in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, or PLG. And Latoya Meters, co-founder and business manager of Collective Fare in Brownsville, a cafe that has been at the forefront of providing food relief to neighbors in need throughout the pandemic. We are so glad to have all of you on with us tonight and would offer you the opportunity now to talk to us about what's going on with your businesses, what you think we need, and any recommendations that you may have.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laci Chisholm. I am the founder and CEO of Fit for Dance, a dance fitness studio located in Crown Heights. And I established Fit for Dance to inspire and motivate women to take charge of their health while having fun doing it. After battling my own weight and health issues, I was 60 pounds overweight, had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic. Dance classes were my way to relieve stress, also provided a sense of community. And it was a wonderful space for me to be around other women. And I wanted to provide that to women in my community because quality and affordable dance and fitness classes weren't available. Since establishing Fit for Dance and being on Nostrand Avenue, we did incredibly well. And this was actually the first year I was finally starting to make a profit. Every day people were saying how much Fit for Dance had changed their lives. We were doing so much for the community, which is something that I'm really passionate about. Book bag drives, coat drives, toy drives, just really supporting the community in a number of ways. And when COVID hit, it really knocked us off our feet. But I'm grateful that we were able to quickly transition to an online platform and pivot to offer some recorded classes. And then with Zoom, figuring out how to get all of our classes online. I wasn't able to bring all of my teachers online, which was unfortunate, but being able to bring as many as I could, and it was well received by the community. In the beginning, I applied to every grant. It seemed like every day I was on the computer applying for grants, which is another full-time job in itself. And it became really hard telling that story over and over, why I am the perfect person, why I'm the most person in need that needs this money. I'm a Black woman, I'm poor, I'm struggling. To tell that story over and over, it started to weigh down on me. And then getting rejections from different grants and loans. But then the light came at the end of the tunnel. I did get the EIDL loan. I was denied the SBA loan, but I got the EIDL of $10,000. I got the PPP through the Brooklyn Outreach Center that covered 1 month of rent. But my rent is $6,000. And so even with that, I was only able to cover like 3 months of rent. I paid rent March, April, May, June, and then in July I paid $5,000 of my rent, and I still owed $618. And that was the first time my landlord reached out to me during the whole pandemic. She hadn't reached out. I was paying rent in full, and she reached out and said, "Hey, you still owe me $618." And that really took me by surprise because she hadn't asked if I was okay, if I was still alive, how the business was doing. I own a dance fitness space, so of course gyms hadn't opened yet, still aren't open because I have in-person fitness classes, so I'm not able to operate. And at that point, I said, I'm working really hard to pay rent, and I'm not even able to use the space. I'm really struggling to pay, and I'm not able to use the space. I joined a business support group through the Business Outreach Center that's been really helpful, being around other women, small business owners, talking about issues and problems. And my main issue was figuring out what to do with my space, figuring out if I should keep this physical space because it costs so much money. My expenses every month were about $7,500. And to keep working this hard even though online classes are going well, it's still not bringing in the revenue that I need. I'm still not paying myself, and I still don't have all of my teachers on board. So what could I do? It felt like I was going to be a failure if I lost my space that I put my hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into. But then I realized it's not the space that makes Fit for Dance. It's the community. It's the people. It's the joy that we bring. And so I finally got to a place where I said, okay, they hooked me up with pro bono attorneys. They drafted a lease for me to get out of this space. I finally did it. I sent the email to my landlord at midnight, and she called me. I was too nervous to answer the phone. It was midnight. I said, I'll wait till the next day. I'll teach a great class. I'll have lots of energy, and I'll be able to talk to her. I talked to her, and she said, you know, I'm really sorry about what happened earlier in the year when I was very insensitive. You have been an amazing tenant. You've paid your rent every month on time. You've never been late. I had just received Small Business Owner of the Year for the state of New York from the SBA. I'd gotten community awards. I really upgraded the community, and it's a community staple. Everybody on Nostrand Avenue knew Fit for Dance, and she said, I don't want you to leave. I really don't want you to leave, and I really want to work with you. So let's see how it goes. I really feel confident that you're going to be able to open in a couple of months. In my head, I said, I don't think so, because of what's going on. And she said, let's just come back to it in September and see how it goes. We'll just use your security deposit for the next couple of months. I said, okay, that sounds good. She then came back and said, you know what? You don't have to pay rent for the rest of the year. Maybe not even January or February. In March, we'll come back and see, and then you could pay a reduced rent. Instead of paying $5,000, you can pay $500. And I said, oh my God, yes, this is what I need. My landlord is a person, a human that cares. And it sounded great. I was so relieved. I was dancing all over, and I was making all these plans, and I was back to strategy and how I'm going to do all these amazing things. And I followed up with her an email, and I said, you know, that sounded great. Can you just, can we just recap and write it down? I wrote everything down, and I haven't heard from her since September. She has not responded to any emails, any phone calls, nothing. And so it made me really nervous. I'm still nervous. I'm still thinking about that every day. What if she changes her mind? That was a verbal phone call. I have nothing in writing. Even though she got her rent up until November was the first month that I didn't pay rent because I had 3 months of security, and then I paid all of the other months. So November was the first month. I get nervous thinking about the eviction moratorium that's coming up, thinking about what if she changes her mind? What if that was just a hold over, just to see what legislation will do? And it makes me really nervous. Also thinking about ending my lease early. The terms of my lease say if I leave early, I have to pay out the rest of it. Thinking about paying out the rest of it, it's about $200,000 that I definitely don't have. Didn't have it then, don't have it now, might not have it in the future. My dad is a guarantor. I don't want it to affect him. He's retired. He's living a great life in South Carolina with my mom. I don't want it to affect them. This is my business, my baby. I put my blood, sweat, and tears, my savings, and this is on me. And this pandemic is nothing that anybody could have ever predicted, nothing that says that any business owner that's going through this that has to shut down was a failure. But inside, it still feels like that because you're working really hard to do all the right things, to serve community, to do great work, and to provide services, and then to not know. It's this cloud over my head. Am I going to have to pay this back rent? Am I going to have to pay in the future? And when I do reopen, will the people come back? Is it going to be safe? We'll still have virtual, but is it going to be the same way as it was before? And what I've had to do is kind of put that to the side and say, Fit for Dance was a community space. We're going to do the same things. I'm collecting toys at my house. Now people are mailing them and we're sending them out. We're doing the coat drive still. We're doing everything like we used to do, and it's virtual and it looks really different. But still just being nervous about that space and thinking about, will I ever be able to go back into a space where I laid the carpet, where I did the sheetrock, where I painted, where I, did things that I never thought possible because I was running out of money. And so I really appreciate being on this panel and being able to share that story. And I'm grateful that I'm still here, still standing, still able to receive grants and support. But it makes me really nervous. But one thing I will share is that every time I get ready to give up, not really give up, because you don't give up, but in your head, you're like, is this really making sense? Is this going to work out? A light at the end of the tunnel. American Express and iFund Women reached out to me 2 weeks ago and said, we see you, Laci. We see the work that you're doing. And we chose 100 women from around the country, 100 Black women, and we are supporting you. And we know that you're going to be able to do it and succeed. And they granted me $25,000 2 weeks ago. So that is a light at the end of the tunnel. That is something great that's happening. And I'm really excited and overjoyed about that. But I want it to continue. Because what if we don't open till June? That $25,000 will last me probably until April so I can pay my teachers and bring back my dance program. But it just makes me really nervous thinking about the future and thinking about strategy and thinking about how I'm going to move forward. And if it looks different, I want to go ahead and be prepared for the way that that looks. And if it means getting a new space in a year, then so be it. But knowing that unknown, it's hard. And it weighs on your mental, it weighs on everything, how you operate in life, how you eat, how you save, what you do, who you interact with, who you have relationships with and partnerships with. And so just thinking about all of those things, it's been really challenging. But as a business owner, as we all know, business is not easy. It's challenging. It's tough. You got to be around the right people, being around the right supports, and having panels like this and organizations like this that are here to tell us about the ways that they can support us and just being informed. So I'm really grateful to be here today, but definitely still nervous about that rent.
Wow, Laci, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think the level of emotions I felt just over the past 10 minutes is like just a miniature capture of what you have to go through and what so many other business owners have to go through during this crisis. And I want to thank you so much for being vulnerable with us and talking through your experience. And thank you for the courage that you have for continuing to fight and trying to help out the community with what you do. Really appreciate it. So we're going to hear